The right review for you, matching review methods to research questions and practicalities. My name is Melanie Anderson. I'm an information specialist from Library and Information Services. And there are two other members of Library and Information Services on the call. It's Raluca Serban and Ashley Farrell. They're in the chat, happy to help you with the questions that you may have. We'll just get started. So who are UHN Library and Information Resource or Services? Well, we're your library. We provide resources and services to everyone at Team UHN, clinicians, staff, researchers, teachers, and learners. The only group that we don't really provide resources for are the patients, and there are patient and family libraries for that purpose. We do workshops and other educational events, and you can find out more about those on the workshops page. We also do search assistance. We can help you either improve the search that you are currently working on, or teach you how to improve your searches, or we can do searches for you. You don't have to do them yourself. That includes everything from I need a couple of articles on up to I'm working on a systematic review. In that vein, today we are going to be talking about the differences between different types of reviews. We're going to talk about a few different tools to help you determine the review type which is suited to a project. And we'll also let you know about systematic review and other review resources on uhnlibraries.ca. So there are many kinds of reviews. We've listed a couple of them on the screen here. The exact number is not clear because people keep making new ones, but we know that at least one article in the last few years has identified 48 types of review, and it categorized them into 7 families. Now, obviously, we do not have the time or, the ability to go into 48 different types of reviews. So we're going to be sort of simplifying this down and focusing on 5 kinds of reviews, the sort of 5 that we see most often in the health sciences. And we're going to sort them into 2 categories. But just keep in mind that if you're looking at, the ones that are most commonly done that you're most familiar with, and they don't feel like they're fitting what you're trying to do, there's a really good chance there's a different kind of review out there that would help. If you've got questions about that, we're happy to help you figure out what might suit you better if you come into the library. So for our purposes, we're going to be thinking about knowledge syntheses, and the CIHR definition of knowledge syntheses is the contextualization and integration of research findings of individual research studies within the larger body of knowledge on the topic. A synthesis must be reproducible and transparent in its methods, but it can use either quantitative or qualitative methods or both. So from our point of view, with our sort of simpler set of knowledge syntheses, we're categorizing things as either knowledge syntheses or not knowledge syntheses. So all of the reviews fall under one of those 2 categories. Most of the ones we're going to be talking about and that you'll see the names of today are going to be knowledge syntheses. These are things like systematic reviews, scoping reviews, rapid reviews, etc. But there are other very useful types of reviews that are outside of the knowledge syntheses umbrella. Traditional reviews and any variation on those would fall outside of that. And there's also other kinds of things that still very useful types of reviews, just not the same thing as a knowledge syntheses that we could be thinking about here. Tools to help you decide. We're going to be focusing on SALSA, which accounts for characteristics of the review type. So what is involved in that review type and how does it match up with what you're aiming to accomplish? We're going to also look at TREAD, which accounts for practical considerations. So things like what resources do you have access to? What kinds of what kinds of expertise are needed compared to what kinds of expertise you have access to, those kinds of things. And we'll also, right now, actually quickly be looking at Write Review, which is an online tool that will ask you some questions and then suggest some types of reviews that might match your project. So to start with, we are looking at Write Review. It's at this URL here. I believe that's going to be dropped in the chat. I'm going to get out of this here, and we're going to very quickly look at it in online here. So again, Write Review, previously known as What Review is Right for You. And then from here, it's going to ask you questions. So let's say we want to do a quantitative type of a review. You would answer questions like, what's your goal? Is it about interventions? How many? What type of evidence will you be using? What type of analysis will you conduct, etc.? And you answer those questions, hit submit, and then it'll suggest a couple of kinds of review to you, and you can sort of see some details about those kinds of review and decide if one of them works better or worse for you. Now, this tool does not obviously have all 48 or more types of review in it, but the most common ones for health sciences are available in here, and you can certainly play around with it. And if you get to the end and decide that none of the suggestions really match what you're trying to do, you can always go back and look at other kinds of reviews. So what about SALSA? SALSA stands for Search, Appraisal, Synthesis, and Analysis. And so the information that you're looking at for that is, for this kind of review, how much do you need to find? Do you need to find literally everything on this topic, or do you need a reasonable sample? How will you know what to look for? That kind of information. For appraisal, some types of knowledge syntheses require an appraisal stage. Some of them don't. If you're looking at many different kinds of studies, then having an appraisal stage can be more complicated. So that may or may not match up with what you're aiming to do. So you want to think about that. Synthesis, what kind of synthesis could this include? This is where we're thinking about things like, are you doing a narrative synthesis? Are you crunching the numbers between all of the papers? What kind of synthesis are you aiming to pull out at the end of this? And then the analysis piece is really about what conclusions will you be able to draw based on the work that you've done for the rest of the review. And we'll be looking at some more information about these in just a little bit. TREAD is really looking at the nitty-gritty of how you're actually going to accomplish this. Do you have enough time to do the kind of review that you're considering doing? Do you have enough resources? Do you have access to the expertise you need? Does your audience want this kind of a review? Is this review going to satisfy the need that your audience has? And also, you want to consider what data is actually available. Is the data that is available high quality enough and similar enough for you to do the kind of synthesis that you're interested in doing? And we will be getting a little bit more into that in a little bit. So how do you even find this information? Okay, so now we know that we want to find out about, what kind of a search I need to do. And we also know that we need to find out about what kind of data is available. And we also know that we want to find out about how long it's going to take the review compared to how long I have. But how do I even know how long something's going to take? We do have a summary for 5 kinds of reviews. These are the 5 kinds that I referred to earlier that are the most commonly seen in the health sciences. Obviously, this is not all of the kinds of review, though. You'll find this on our types of literature reviews page. The link will be in the chat by now. You can also get to it by going to uhnlibraries.ca and going to Research Toolbox there in the navigation panel there at the top. Now, I'm just going to show you that really quickly. So here we are on the types of reviews page. There's two different versions of the summary of 5 types of reviews. This is what the not compressed one looks like. It's using a font size that is going to be much more readable than the other one, but it does mean there's 6 pages of scrolling to get through that information. There's guidelines, there's how long things take, resources needed, expertise, team, etc. If you want a shorter scan, there's the sorry, that's the wrong one. There's the compressed version. So this is the exact same information, but it's in a fairly tiny font in a table so that it's for those who can manage the smaller font, a little easier to scan through. So there's those 2 that are available there. Now, okay, so that's 5, but obviously if there's 48 or more different kinds of reviews, you might want to know more about some of the other ones. How do you find out about the TREAD and the SALSA for other kinds of reviews? You're going to want to do a number of things because this information, sadly, is not all in one place. I'm dying for there to be a book that collects all of this information and just makes it available. That has not happened yet. So you're going to want to consider looking for guidelines or standards for the type of review that you're considering looking at. You're going to want to read examples of those kinds of reviews. So if you're interested in meta-narrative reviews or something, read some meta-narrative reviews. It would be a good idea to talk to or ideally recruit onto your team a method expert for that kind of review, somebody who's done that kind of review before and they know what they're doing and they have some experience to refer back to. You can also take a look at papers about knowledge syntheses or specific methods. So on our types of reviews page, which we looked at briefly, there are resources about a few more kinds of reviews than the ones that we're talking about today. You could take a look at those papers about those. You could also, if you've got, we emailed out the slides yesterday, and on the slide that looks like this, in the notes, there's a list of articles that are about knowledge syntheses. They're sort of looking at different kinds of knowledge syntheses and detailing information about some of them. Those could be a really good resource to refer to as well. So under Research Toolbox, which is where you will find the types of reviews page that we were looking at a little bit earlier, there's also the systematic review overview, and this will walk you through the steps of a systematic review and refer you out to other information and important resources that can help you along with systematic review. Very helpful resource here. And under back on uhnlibraries.ca, if you look under services, there's the knowledge synthesis support page, which I'm going to show you right here. If you scroll down on that page, you will find the options that are available from the library for support for UHN staff and students doing knowledge syntheses projects like systematic reviews, scoping reviews, etc. If your team was working from outside of UHN, we do have health search that can help folks from outside of UHN doing these kinds of projects. Inside UHN, there's no fee, and we've got several options for you there. And then on the sidebar there, you'll see the knowledge synthesis proposal form, which your IS will need, your information specialist will need along with a protocol in order to collaborate with you on your review. thank you so much for coming, and we hope to see you again soon.